Hello, my name is Rick, and welcome back to the Boxnot channel. Before us is a massive tank, of which I'm going to be using for a Stormlord proxy in my Warhammer 40k games. Now in the past, I've already made a how to paint a Baneblade tutorial. These two tanks are actually made by the same creator, fayme, who I will put his links to my mini factory down below, as well as his Patreon, because his work is astounding. And since we've already done a paint tutorial, this time around we're going to be doing a story. The story was written by me and edited by RJ Bailey, who also did the voice acting and narration. RJ Bailey also has another channel called Old X, where he narrates and acts out old lore from old codexes. Links to his wonderful channel and all his work will be down in the description as well. And without further ado, let us get to the story.
Day 35. Frontline Guardsman Terrence. Night watch. The fog had rolled in earlier that day. We thought it was your regular old rain fog, but no. This one got a putrid smell to it. On one level, it had the musk of something I can't describe. Strange and otherworldly. On the other, it simply, purely stank of death. The captains and commissar have issued a bloody mask mandate, not that I'd argue with them. I've been wearing mine almost 24/7 since then. It makes it hard to eat, hard to hear others, and hard to respond to orders. I've also been seeing bizarre shapes in the fog. At first, I thought I was losing it. Maybe my mind was playing tricks, trying to distract itself from all the tension. Heck, the water tasted funny these days, and we've had to start rations with food, so I'm feeling hungrier than usual. But others in my regiment, they've reported seeing some of our friends again. Our comrades, returning from the mist. Only problem is, it's the dead ones. Out on patrol last night, I saw him. Tavish Fern was his name. He and I had fallen back a few days ago. Our encampment was made of the few survivors of the last one. Ambushed we were by the worshippers of chaos. We made it to this here trench line. Well, at least I did. A sniper's shot to the chest ended Fern's life in the blink of an eye. There was no time to grab his body, face down in the mud as it was, las fire flying overhead. And yet, I saw him, another him, limping towards our trench. I hesitated at first, but waved to him and pulled my mask off, holding back my gag reflex from the stench which forced its way up my nostrils. "Fern! Is that you?" There was a pause in his footsteps, and his head swayed back and forth, staring at the mud. Then, slowly, he looked up at me. That's when I saw his eyes, clouded and as unnaturally pale as his face. His flesh was thick and bloated, but his knuckles jutted out of his skin, showing the pallid bone. At first, his pace was slow and methodical, but he soon burst into a sprint. I scrambled for my lasgun, animal instinct telling me to fight or take flight. My confused squadmates told me to hold fire, but I knew it wasn't Fern. Aiming down the sights, I could see maggots burrowing out of his eyes and black ooze slopped from his mouth. I only paused for a split second before I pulled the trigger. Silence. Day 40. Commissar Isaiah Visbo. The men have gone mad. They state the deceased have risen. To my knowledge, my men are unaware of the reality of the situation, as of yet. I am concerned it would break their resolve to know that the despicable rot of chaos has claimed this world already. I have tried to keep the reports of this anomaly away from the trenches, but should this continue, we might have to spill the beans. Speaking of which, food is already running out for the soldiers, and our officers' store isn't doing much better. The reinforcements and supplies we requested 7 days ago are, as of yet, unanswered. Our communications, according to Specialist Leatherleaf, a more than able operator in the discipline, are not being received by anyone. Any messenger we send fails to return. This, too, naturally, I keep under wraps. I try to maintain the troopers' hopes as much as possible, reminding them that the Emperor's will keeps us strong. And if that is not enough, I will simply remind them, again, kindly, or without remorse. Reports of men falling back from the northern advancement persist. In most circumstances, retreating would be rewarded with a bolt, but I know we need everybody we can get, and a commissar must be, above all things, judicious. From what I have gathered, soldiers returning from the great hereafter indicates there is a plague in the air, whatever kind that may be. I have issued mandatory gas mask mandates, with the only exceptions being within fully sealed bunker facilities. Furthermore, our sniper scouts operating beyond the trench line report of chaos horrors, things which should not exist, in this realm at least, and in any other, ideally. I fear the worst. I pray to the God Emperor that we shall hold, and those reinforcements will arrive. Day 50. Guardsman Winters. Mortar Team Merlis Diary. It was the first sound of shelling in weeks. From them, not us. The pounding of munitions came flying overhead early in the morning. We were told to hunker down and prepare for a full-force attack. From what I have learned, in standard situations, the enemy applies pressure via artillery, then follows through with infantry and a full frontal assault. As the shells hit the trench, bodies went flying around us, whole and in parts, spinning through the air. Then, it got worse. It wasn't just shrapnel doing the damage, but those without masks or tears in their suits started to scream, scratching at their throats and eyes as their skin started to boil. Not erupt in boils, but actually boil. I started chanting my childhood litanies of protection, praying, begging for the Emperor's defense. Shell after shell continued to mutilate the earth around us, and more of the now melted bodies started to form great pools of human liquid. Finally, our sergeant gave the word to return shelling fire. My hands, shaky as they were, reached for the nearest mortar and felt the loud, loving embrace of that oh-so-familiar thud. Day 55. Frontline Guardsman Terence. As we were overrun, so we ran. Even as our commissar threatened to shoot us, we took our chances and sprinted. The horrors we saw bolting towards us after the bombardment were unimaginable. Rotted corpses by the hundreds hurtled across the mud, not being troubled by our las fire, our cannons, our mortars, our mines, or anything. I didn't know they could move that fast. They just kept pushing on, and behind him were not the long wished for Emperor's angels. Oh no, these were sick parodies of them. They laughed as our men fell. Putrid hunks of ceramite, riddled with orifices and pus they were. Flies following them like the plague itself made manifest. My lungs caught fire as I ran. I went until my knees could no longer hold me. I write this entry in a crater with some other survivors beside me. We wait for daylight, reinforcements, and hope. Day 60. Frontline Guardsman Terence. My last clip is spent. I carry a soldier on my shoulder through the mud. His name is Calvin. I don't know much other than that. What I do know is that he's slowing us down. Still, I see it as my penance for leaving Fern so many weeks ago. Maybe if the Emperor sees my attempt, he will keep us alive. Or maybe that's just foolish thinking. My las rifle strap is wrapped around my free arm. Its bayonet is the only thing that works. Still, better than nothing. Calvin is in and out of consciousness from a lack of food, energy, and a broken shin. I've not given up hope, though. I grasp the Emperor's holy eagle pendant in my right hand. It was a gift given to me by someone I rescued long ago, and now I hope it will rescue me. 4 hours, I think, pass, and I start to feel weak. We have been walking, running, trying to evade the enemy for days with no sign of relief. That's when I felt it, the rumbling under my feet. Something was approaching, something massive. By God, I knew it was heavy armor, but I couldn't tell where it was coming from. Was it from our territory or theirs? It was so strong it felt like it was coming from everywhere. Ragged fear took over as I pulled Calvin down with me into the mud as much as possible. I prayed out loud, asking the Emperor to show his mercy. Calvin seemed to give up completely and passed out. I shut my eyes to the foggy world around me and held my breath. When I finally opened them, the smog had diminished, and the most beautiful thing I ever did see barreled and bellowed through what remained. A beast, colossal, wrought of metal, treads and holy firepower, made its way towards us, towards the horrors, carrying with it the divine God Emperor's Aquila, the symbol of the regiment they call the Bushrats, and the moniker Mayhem. The Stormlord had soldiers atop the godlike vessel who waved to us and stopped close by. We must have looked like insects. They pulled us aboard into the bosom of the steel beast. Finally, I felt safe to rest. I collapsed onto the floor, falling into unbidden slumber, into the Emperor's embrace. I knew my dreams would reflect the reality of what was about to happen. Unstoppable violence, unrelenting punishment, righteous and terrible, horrifying two horrors, revenging my comrades desecrated by the arch-enemy, and carried out in the Holy Emperor's name.
Well, that's the end of that. That was probably the greatest I don't know. I had a lot of fun editing that. It was one of those moments where I was so like giddy at night, combining RJ's narration and finding sound files on the thing, like on the website I'm subscribed to, and finding sound effects and all the stuff, and like getting that together was like, oh, it was so much fun. It was a lot of fun. I had a great time collabing with RJ on this. And if you enjoyed his narrative voice, please check out his stuff. He is extremely talented. He's done several audiobooks, and he has his own podcast, and he has his own projects, and like he's just an extremely talented man. And when I asked him to help me with this, he just volunteered, and he's one of my patrons, and I couldn't like that's wonderful, and I'm forever grateful to him. Like he was great in the interview we did, and yeah, so like he's great. So also, if you guys want to help support the channel, we have a Patreon, which will be linked down below. Also, a big shout out to my two patrons, Warrior Queen and of course RJ Bailey, who again, like I said, helped us with this video. You guys are beyond amazing and been with us for months, and I appreciate you guys so much. If you guys want to give a little bit, there's a $3 tier and then a $5 tier with extra benefits and stuff. You can see all that in the link below. If you guys liked, please hit that like button, subscribe, hit the bell, all that fun stuff. Share with your friends if you think they would like it and whatnot, and comment down below. I love talking to you guys. And yeah, the next video will be about another month out and or 2 months. There's some things going on in the background of my life right now that is a little wild that you guys will kind of learn, and it may be good news, it may be bad news. So exciting. We'll find out more, and thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Oh, hold on. Bye-bye.